getting ready to mow my yard this afternoon, but before I do, I just thought I'd film this quick video. It's been a few days, but what I've been doing is working really hard. And I've been trying to get my garden stable. I guess I'll just say stable. We have had some severe heat down here in South Louisiana. My husband and I jumped in the car a while ago to run an errand, and it said 102 on my dashboard, and that's just the real temperature. That's not the heat index. And as you know, if you followed my channel, I went through kind of an experience last year where we got into a severe drought, which we're having here, depending on where you live. I'm having all these little rainstorms around me, but nothing is raining here at my house. In the last 2 weeks, I got 10 minutes of a drizzle this past Saturday afternoon, and that's all I got. I was happy for it, and I'm thankful for it, but that's all I got. So I'm having flashbacks to last year when I lost a whole stand of corn, when I lost other vegetables, and when things just literally over the course of a week or so went from green and lush to brown and crunchy and dead. Now, I'm somewhere in the middle, and I think the reason I'm somewhere in the middle right now is because of the trees that I have on my property. And I think that is saving me from absolute crunchy brown plants right now. I've mulched, I've done all of that. It's simply, plants just need like rain from heaven. I've had my sprinkler going all day today. I had it going yesterday. I'm trying to keep things watered and everything, but it seems like you're keeping them alive, but it seems like the very next day they just look stressed and everything again. They can get a little 10-minute drizzle like they got Saturday coming down from heaven, and they perk up and they look like they got 6 inches of rain. And so I really need some real rain, but it'll come when it comes. It just keeps missing us. I get alerts on my phone saying heavy rain in your area, lightning detected near you, and on and on. We can hear the thunder, we can see the lightning, and we just don't get anything. But that's just the way it is, and that's kind of this time of year. So what does the Harvard School of Business have to do with anything on my little property here in South Louisiana? Well, you know, if you know me at all, you know that I kind of relate to things in the form of stories. I either put things into a story when I'm talking about it sometimes, or if I hear a story, it stays in my brain a lot better when I hear it in story form. And that's kind of what this is. It's just simple. It's something simple, but I'm relating it to what I'm going through right now. A long time ago, I was looking at a business magazine, and it was probably, I guess, around a time in Louisiana when we were having a housing crisis. It might have been like 2008 or 9 when the whole country was having one. But they were interviewing a man in the Baton Rouge area that owned a flooring company. And they had been so busy throughout the big housing boom that all of a sudden now they weren't busy. And so they were interviewing him asking, how is your company doing in the light of all this bad economy? And what he answered surprised me, and it's always stuck with me because it was in the form kind of an interview and a story. But he said that rather than lay all his people off and rather than panic and everything else in the bad economy, that he was doing a method that he had learned from the Harvard Business School. He didn't go to it, but he had learned this practice. And that is that when times are really hard, when the economy goes into a downward spiral, if you have the means, some people don't have the means, but he said that if businesses have the means to, instead of panicking, laying off, cutting, getting rid of everything, you use that time, you use that downtime when all of your crew is not extremely busy, when all of your time and your focus is not on pleasing customers, you use that downtime to strengthen the foundation of your business, to strengthen it, so that when the cycle comes back around and times are getting better, and in his case, when people would be wanting to order more flooring, when times get better, you are positioned to not only have survived the bad times, but now you will have taken your business and you would have put it in a position to be the strongest one in the whole area, the one who can handle things, because you didn't gut your business during the downtime. You didn't gut it, you strengthened it. To put it into practice, what this man had done was he had taken this downtime and he had set aside small crews to take any job they could get, and that was their job, was to keep working and keep bidding on jobs and keep trying to get any type of little home remodel or any kind of job they could get. So they were trying to stay busy with what they were doing. But what he was also doing was he added square footage to his warehouse. He worked on the relationships with his vendors, and he strengthened their business. He worked with his accounting departments, with everybody, to kind of find out any little way that their business could be strengthened. Where was the money going? So when you get really busy, you don't have time to look at things like that. You just get caught up in being busy. And a flooring company during a housing boom is probably swamped. But what he did was he took this time to get to know his business from the bottom up like he had never done before. He did all he could to keep his employees employed, because they were all skilled workers in installing flooring and in bidding on flooring and in selling flooring. They were all so skilled that he didn't want to lose all his talent. So he did what he had to do to keep his company open and running. And then when it all cycled back around, he became one of the biggest flooring people in the Baton Rouge area. And so I've always kept that in mind. I guess you would apply it maybe to a business. This is, right now for me, is not a business because I'm not really selling anything right now. I'm just keeping my garden going. But I've been thinking about that man and what he said, and about that Harvard School of Business method, that thought process. And I'm trying to apply it to right now. Why now? Because now is the time. July is coming up this weekend, 1st of July, and then August. For people in the South, July and August are the dog days of summer. It's hot. It's usually really dry. Nobody grows a lot during this time. And I kind of want to not follow that method. I kind of want to break out of that cycle and kind of actually expand. I kind of want to expand a little bit. And what I mean is this. One of the channels that I follow that's real big on YouTube, they live not far from me in Mississippi. They're shutting down July and August. They're not planting anything. They don't intend to. They don't want to work in the heat. And I get that. Believe me, I get it. I'm on 2 showers a day right now because I sweat so much working in the early part of the day that I have to shower. I come out of the heat for a little while, and then when I do anything in the evening, even like mowing, I'm going to have to shower again tonight. It's just that hot and that dry and that gross when you're out there working. So I understand not wanting to work in the heat, but I'm trying to think to myself, how can I do things smarter? How can I shore up what I already have? How can I keep myself busy so that I don't get idle, so that my talent that I've kind of honed a little bit doing all this gardening, that I don't get lazy and then try to walk back out here in late August, beginning of September, when it is still hot down here, and all of a sudden think I'm going to jump out here and start gardening. It's like, no, kind of keep yourself going. Keep yourself going. Keep stuff planted. Keep your beds cleaned. Keep your beds mulched. But most of all, keep things in production so that, number one, we can have food. And number two, so that my beds and my soil keep getting stronger and stronger with roots, because I chop things off when I get through with them. Not necessarily tomatoes, because sometimes tomatoes can have some diseases on them, but any type of beans, okra, any type of corn stalks or anything like that, I just chop them off at the base and I leave those roots in the ground to rot. And so I want to keep planting and building, because that's the only way my soil up here, which is pretty good, my natural soil, but the organic soil I brought in needs a lot of that organic matter added to it. And that's the only way it's going to get that organic matter added, is if I keep planting and replacing with something else and replacing with something else. So I'm taking that Harvard Business School methodology, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to shore up my little operation here, and I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep myself fresh in the gardening. I'm not going to burn out. I think what it's going to do for me is I do take off during the hottest part of the day. It was 102 at 2 o'clock. I'm not out there working. I do take off, but the mornings and the afternoons, it keeps me looking at all my plants. If I end up with hornworms, if I end up with any type of situation that I need to kind of intervene, there it is. It keeps me knowing what's growing out there. It keeps me involved in the life cycle of all my plants. I don't want to let this heat beat me. I don't want to let it beat me. I've not put out a video in 5 or 6 days because this heat was beating me. It was making me so tired, and I was looking so gross that I didn't want to film anything. And I was letting it beat me, and I was literally just down. I was down because I was so tired from this heat. And then I started thinking about that, and I'm like, I'm not going to let it beat me. I'm not going to let it determine what I'm going to do for the next 2 months. I want to garden. I want to garden, and I want to keep going with it. And so that's what I'm doing. I'm looking at every bed that I have, and I'm saying, what do you need? Do you need weeding? Do you need extra mulch? Do you need something taken out, emptied, and reloaded like I was talking about on my last video? What do you need? And I'm doing it. I'm looking at my spreadsheet, on my Excel spreadsheet of all my seeds, and I'm seeing, okay, what seeds like to be planted late summer? I have specific notes on some of those seeds that said this seed likes to be planted in the first week of July. This seed likes to be planted late in July. This seed is good to be planted July, August, and September. Well, those seeds are going in the ground. I'm putting them somewhere. I've got a list on my counter. You know I love my list, so I've got a list on my counter, and I've been going through it methodically and starting a project like my corn patch. What do I need to do in it? I pulled out my cucumbers. They had dried up. They weren't doing anything anymore. I pulled them out. I pulled out the last of my black-eyed peas after I got through harvesting them. I planted some more cushaws. I planted some dark green zucchinis. And where my cucumbers are, I planted a lot more okra because my okra was taking forever to get going. I think I planted it just way too early. So I stuck some more out there now. And so the corn patch, then I moved on. I went to my Ford Hook gym bed. They're spent, they're done. I pulled those vines out. I moved the vines to the corn patch in the aisles to help with my weeds in the corn patch. I moved the Swiss chard that I pulled out of my Ford Hook gym bed to the corn patch in the aisles to help do the weeds. So it's just this little rotation going on. I got a load of wood chips I put around the edge of the Ford Hook gym bed, and to keep it kind of mulched, and to also just make a little indention in the middle to kind of maybe hold a little more moisture, hold a little more water. And I planted some lemon cucumbers there. The lemon cucumbers were my only cucumber that said you could plant them all the way through August. So I'm gonna plant them through August. So I don't know if they're delicious or not. I have actually heard some people on the internet say that they don't care for the flavor of the lemon cucumbers. But my thinking is, if they're a cucumber that can be planted that late and grow, I'm gonna go ahead and put them in the ground. And if I use my method of making pickles, which is just out of the Ball cookbook, it's called the cucumber sandwich pickles. They call for sugar and brown sugar and everything in them, and they make the best sweet pickles. Well, even if I don't love them to death as my favorite cucumber to munch on, maybe they'll make just great pickles. And it's food. It's food. It's something to grow on my soil, to keep my soil busy. It's something to put more roots into my soil if they grow. And it's some food that I can maybe put up on my pantry shelf. So why not? Why not try? I got cowpeas going in. I've got some more dark zucchini, which it said I could plant all the way through August. I'm putting some more of that in. I'm just going around to each bed and saying, what do you need? What do you need? My scarlet runner beans along my ramp, gone. They put pretty flowers off. They didn't put very many pods off. And I'm like, I gotta get something in there that's really gonna help me, you know, to have food and production. So I traded them out. I put fertilizer all along there, and I planted some yard-long beans. I already had the string trellising up there, and I have the railings from the porch that I can use to put the beans on. So why not? So that's what I'm doing. I'm emptying and reloading, as I said in my last video, but with a purpose of not wasting this downtime of July and August, not letting the dog days of summer drive me into the house, keep me in the house, help make me soft from being cool in my house for the next 2 months, and then try to walk back out here and think I'm just going to jump into fall gardening when I've let my beds go, when I've got weeds, when I've got dead plants that need to be taken out. It's like, no, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to shore things up. And then this fall, when I go to have another type of garden, when I replace things, I might even replace some tomatoes and do fall tomatoes and things. My beds are going to be ready. My beds are going to be looking nice. They're going to be weeded. They're going to be extra mulched. And I'll be ready to hit the ground running with a really good garden. I've got to do that. I'm on new property, and I've got to do that. I got to keep myself going. Let me show you a little bit of what's going on in my yard. I wanted to show you my corn up in the front and tell you a little story about that. And we'll just talk a little bit today, but that's mainly what I was talking about. And I hope you understand my methodology, and I hope you understand how my comparison between the Harvard Business School and actually my garden in June and July makes sense in my mind. I hope it makes sense to you. Let's go look at the rest of my stuff. My cucuzzas are growing. Finally. I think I planted these things way more than a month ago, and they're just this big right now. But I'm not going to complain. However, see how the size of mine? Let me show you a quick picture of my friend Mella's. Now, Mella's were that big about a week ago. She told me yesterday they're already up to her waist. So mine are way behind, but that's okay. That's okay. You can see in the middle, they're getting their extra little leaves, and they'll be sending off tendrils before too long. So, and they're healthy, and they're green, and I think what has happened is they finally put roots down far enough through this organic soil to where their roots hit the real soil, and they're liking that a whole lot better. They're liking it better than that organic soil. They kind of struggled at first. But I think that's what's going on. I think here in the next few months, these are going to thrive, and I'm going to have some cucuzzas. I'm going to try my best to save seeds because I planted a few extra in my corn patch, and so now I have no more seeds left. But I have a feeling I'm going to get some seeds out of this. But I came over to this bed for the cucuzzas and the tomatoes, and I just said, what do you need over here? What will help? And what I did was, I should have done this earlier. I just overlooked it. But I brought in a bunch of wood chips and put around the base of all these tomatoes. I have some pretty good looking tomatoes on there, some whirly red tomatoes. And I brought more wood chips and I put around the base of all the cucuzzas. I watered them in really good yesterday. And so that soil was moist, and so covering it with the wood chips, I'm hoping to kind of trap some of that moisture. And then maybe we'll get some rain. This is my little golden Jenny bed. I worked on it this morning. I pulled out all the vines, cut them off at the base rather. I cut them off at the base. I cut down a lot of that hyssop that I had growing, but I left a few stalks that had some purple flowers on the top of them that had not dried up yet. The rest had really dried up. And then I have a few that are there, and I just left those. They can reseed all they want. I want them there, but they had a lot of them that had already, I think, dropped their seeds, and they were just dried up and laying on the ground. So I took all that out. But I put one of these little metal cylinders here, and then along the base, all the way around that metal cylinder, I planted about 4 little groupings of cucumber seeds, lemon cucumbers. If they come up, I'm going to just kind of train them on this little thing and see if they want to grow that way. They can grow on the ground, it doesn't matter. But I put some more wood chips around here, and I kind of went around the edge and did some extra weeding for the grass. And I'm trying to get the weeds around here to kind of not want to come back. So I put some extra chips to kind of smother out a little grass, and then I weeded. But I'm kind of doing that everywhere. I have a lot of wood chips around the base of this tree. I have some sunshine winter squash. It's putting off flowers, but I haven't really seen any squash yet. But that's okay. I've got some walking onions there that are hanging in there. They're not just doing somersaults or anything, but they're hanging in there. But that's another thing I did, was I went through this whole bed and weeded and pulled out as much as I could of the worst weed that I have. And I'm gonna tell you about that real quick. Getting real close. See that? And that? And that? Even though I was, even though I was just in here picking these like yesterday, they're back already, some of them. This is my worst weed in the world, and it's acorns putting off little oak trees. They're everywhere. See those? I just picked those. Literally the last day or so, I was out here picking all this stuff. It never ends. They just pop up all over my yard, everywhere. Do y'all have that problem? My trees put off thousands and thousands of acorns, and I'm doing nothing but fighting these little saplings that are coming up. They're everywhere. Take, for instance, right here. Here's a part I haven't gotten to yet. They're all at the base of this little Japanese magnolia tree that I have growing here. And not only are the acorns just native to my ground because they fall everywhere, but then I think they also got put into a lot of these wood chips in that wood chip pile, and then I distributed them right back all over my yard. So I'm continually battling them. Here's my corn here and all my little oak trees. They're just coming up everywhere. Oh my goodness, I'm so tired of these. This is my blue jade corn, and it is putting off little ears, which I expected them to be little ears, but they're way down at the base of the plants. Like that one has 2 ears. I only see one on this one. There's a little one getting started there. But these are supposed to put off 3 to 6 per plant. I don't know if I'm gonna get that, but it's okay. I just kind of wanted to see how it would grow, and I'm enjoying it. I'm excited about growing it, and it's been fun to watch. I look at it every time I look out one of these windows on the front of my house, and it's been enjoyable. So I'm hoping though that I get something out of it. There's plenty of ears starting on here, and they're tasseling, most of them are, and so I'm hoping I'll get good pollination and get something to harvest. Here's a bed that I haven't gotten to yet. I've got a couple of melons. I think it's the Melon de Castillas that I planted from Native Seed Search. They're right there, and then everything else you see, if it's not an oak tree, like that's all oak trees. This is oak trees. But everything else you see, like these darker green plants here, that's the Sea Island cowpeas. And so they're coming up and they're doing good. What I have to do though, this is on my list, come through here, weed out these oak trees, weed out some of this grass that's infringing around the edge. Just kind of, it must be St. Augustine type grass that I have, because I have a lot of long runners and things, and when you pull that runner, a lot of grass comes up. So I need to just come along here, do any kind of weeding that I need to do, and then I'm going to come back with a little layer of wood chips around the edge of this just to kind of shore it up. I'm not going to plant anything else in here because I do have a good many of those cowpeas. That's cowpeas there and there, and when they get bigger, they're going to spread out a little bit and need a little room to grow. So, but this is my planting bed. See, I don't have big row gardens. This is my planting beds, and I just want to kind of make them look pretty, make them easy to push mow around and all, and freshen them up. But when these cowpeas are done, and they'll be done late July or August, then I'm ready to just put something else in there. I'm not going to, at that point, when it's still burning hot and when I've been sitting inside for the last 2 months, I'm not going to have to come out here and get this bed ready for the next thing. I'll just be able to pull the cowpeas out, and then I'll have this already shored up with some more wood chips and looking pretty, and I'll be able to just put something else in there. Just put a new plant in there. that's my goal. That's what I'm trying to work on in these next couple of months. Here's my corn that my neighbor came over and he made me a little corn patch not too long ago. And he gave me some seeds called honey cream corn. And I planted them. And I had 100% germination as far as I know. I had 100% germination. And they all started growing good. I fertilized them. We did get some rain around that time, which was good. And they started growing. And then, all of a sudden, all the ones down this row started dying. Just this front row here got hit the hardest. They're not the only plants that died. But this front row here, what you see is grass because I need to weed, but they got hit the hardest. The plants on this end are still growing and they're getting thicker and doing good. I got a few plants in the middle, and then at this end, they're still growing and doing good. So at least I have some clumps of them to where they can help pollinate each other. But I lost half my crop. I have a big old gap here, and then a little bit more on that row, and then all down this last row. And y'all, I really don't know why, and I was very embarrassed about it. You know, I always kind of figure something out that I can worry about. I was kind of embarrassed about it because he had given me those seeds. I appreciated it. Those seeds came from Ohio, and I know that he probably drives by all the time and looks at my corn. So I really was worried about what he would think when he saw this corn not make a very good stand or have a big gap in my stand. I was really kind of worried about it, and I've really been expecting him to show up in his side-by-side and ask me about it. I just was embarrassed to tell him, I'm so sorry, but I have not been able to keep this corn growing. Now I'm happy it looks green, but the plants that died just shriveled up and died, and I don't even really know why. They just did. Well, today I took my 2 gas cans to go get gas so that I could mow this evening. And guess who's getting gas right next to me? My neighbor. And he says, first thing out of his mouth, "Hey girl, how's that corn doing?" And I said, and I can't lie, I can't lie to people. I said, well, I'll be completely honest with you. I said, I've lost about 1/3 of it. I said, I don't know why, but I've lost about 1/3 of it. And he said, don't worry. He said, my whole stand's burnt and gone. He said, it all burned up in the last few weeks. And I said, oh no. I said, you didn't get any corn out of your whole stand? And he said, very, very little. He said, just a few cobs. He said, I didn't get anything. It burned all up. And I feel bad for him. I feel really bad for him. But I also was like thinking, oh, thank gosh, thank gosh that he's not going to be upset at me because I haven't been able to make this corn grow at 100%. I told him, I said, well, mine's still green. I said, it hasn't burned up. I said, the corn you gave me hasn't burned up. I said, I have water on it right now. And I said, I'm trying to keep it alive. I said, because a lot of stuff around my yard's wanting to burn up. I said, but I've managed to keep it alive. And he said, well, you're doing better than me. He said, mine burnt up, it's gone. So that shows you though, he just lives right over there, just a couple 100 yards down the road. His whole stand of corn burnt up. My bodacious was kind of doing that. And now my Mosby prolific is doing it. It's put on very few ears. It's stressed, and it is just from the bottom up turning brown. I'm looking for it to be completely brown in the next few days. That's what happened last year. It just didn't want to put on ears. It got too hot and it got too stressed. We just needed a little bit more mild weather for some of this corn to really make it, but that's just the way it is. But my honey cream, I might end up with something off of that. If I can keep it fertilized and I can keep some water on it, if it'll stay looking like it's looking even through this heat, what I have left might just make it. Well, I hope I pretty much explained my Harvard Business School theory with you, and I hope you understand that I'm applying that to each and every bed around my whole house. I'm applying it to all the chores that I need to get done, even organizing things that I didn't even mention today. I want to use this time to get a lot of things organized so that I'm not rolling into the fall with a big old list of things to do just because I didn't want to get out in the heat. I'm trying to get things done so that I can actually enjoy a good fall garden, so that I can actually enjoy my property this fall. What I'm doing with each bed, as I showed you, just walking around and putting on my list everything that needs to be done with it and getting it done. I'm doing that all over my property. And so hopefully the results will pay off. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I'm melting out here talking to y'all right now. I'm under every tree I can get under. But it's time to go mow. The sun is finally going down a little bit and it's starting to kind of cool off, but not much. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out there and mow. I'm gonna have to probably mow in the morning to finish and may end up having to mow tomorrow evening just to get it all done. But I can't do it during the middle of the day. So I'm gonna try to work on it while I can and do my gardening chores in between, you know, all the mowing. But it'll all get done. That's what lists are for. That's what intention is for. That's what commitment is for. And that's what having a plan is for. And right now I kind of feel like I have a plan with good intentions, and I've made the commitment to see it through. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. I hope some of this might have helped you. I appreciate you watching me and hanging in there with me. Please like and subscribe. I always forget to say that, but I really would appreciate it if you like and subscribe. Thank you so much, and y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.